Welcome to A Meaningful Marketplace.
I'm Sarah Masoni from Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center, where I've helped countless dreamers launch their new food products. It's the science of taking a food delight from the kitchen to mass manufacturing and still keeping its great taste. That's what I do. I've been called the woman with the $1 million palate, although I haven't tried to cash that check yet. Listen in weekly for real-life stories.
I'm Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce and author of Preservation Pantry, modern canning from root to top and stem to core. I love inspiring business owners to get started on their journey, encourage folks to be part of their local community, and I'm excited to help business owners tell their stories. Hello and welcome to the Meaningful Marketplace. We are here weekly to discuss the journeys of food entrepreneurs. We're glad you've joined us today as we bring you stories of hope and inspiration. This is Sarah Marshall, owner of Marshall's Hot Sauce.
And Sarah Masoni of Oregon State University's Food Innovation Center. Hi, Sarah Marshall.
Hey, Sarah Masoni. I have a question for you. I want to know how you're kicking off summer.
Camping.
Camping? Are you doing lots of camping?
Yep, we were at the Oregon coast this last weekend, and we're heading up to Camp Sherman next weekend. So we're trying to get as much camping in as possible.
That's good.
I saw you at the lake, I think, last week, weren't you?
Yeah, we've been trying to fit in as much water play as possible. You know, my daughter's 11, and I feel like we're at that kind of prime summer point where she still wants to hang with her fam and, bring friends along, but still like be with us. So we're doing a lot of lakes, rivers, things like that. So we were up at a lake in Washington, the lake in Mount Hood, and then we're going to go to Oxbow Park this week. So,
were you checking out all the delicious food where you were?
We've been just kind of bringing along snacks, picnic lunches, things like that. But you know, I do like to check out some good road food along the way. But I haven't this time. I will.
I just read a thing. I guess there's like a convenience store here in Portland has the best chicken tenders.
Oh.
Like they make them there. I should have looked up who it was, but sorry, folks. You'll have to figure it out yourself.
Yeah, well, we'll have to do some
Who thought a convenience store would have the best chicken tenders in Portland?
Well,
I'll see if I can find it before we're done today.
Yeah, keep us posted. Well, we've been partnering with the Regional Food Business Center to bring guests from our 6-state region, and we're currently meeting with business owners from the great state of Idaho. I would like to welcome our co-host, Doctor Janna Hamlett, and she is the food processing specialist at University of Idaho Extension and School of Food Science. Welcome, Janna.
Hello, nice to be back again today.
We're so glad you're back. Thank you for being our Idaho expert while we meet all these new friends. Do you have any Idaho news for us?
No, we're pretty warm here the last week or so. So this is getting recorded kind of the middle of July. So we've gotten some warmth going on. So some products are doing great with that, and some are not so much liking it.
As it does. Well, we've been very excited to have you back, and it's been fun to have some new Idaho friends here. So thanks for being here along with us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And we would like to encourage you to connect with your state by signing up for the Regional Food Business Center newsletter. It's a breeze to sign up. Just go to Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center.com, hit connect with us, and choose the button to receive newsletters. We want to thank our sponsor for supporting the Meaningful Marketplace. Thank you for helping us spread the word about small business owners and entrepreneurs. Let's hear a word from our sponsor. The Northwest and Rocky Mountain Regional Food Business Center is the proud sponsor of the Meaningful Marketplace podcast, giving a voice to food from across the 6-state region of Colorado, Idaho, Montana, Oregon, Washington, and Wyoming. The Food Business Center supports Northwest and Rocky Mountain food industry makers as part of the USDA's National Network of Food Business Centers, supporting a more resilient, diverse, and competitive food system as a go-to source for small and mid-tier food and farm businesses with a focus on underserved communities, providing education in the form of technical knowledge, business programs, and industry news. We sponsor trade shows, meetups, and conferences to connect growers, producers, retailers, distributors, and processors, all to stimulate business and raise the standards of our storied food industry. Join us as we travel through the 6-state region, learning more about food makers, food hubs, and food systems. Visit the website at Northwest Rocky Mountain Regional Food Businesses.com to get connected. And I would like to introduce you to Jim Logan. He's the director of the Latah County Fairgrounds, running the community kitchen and food production facility in Moscow, Idaho. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you for having me today.
We're so glad you're here. We always like to connect people online or in social media. What's the best way for people to find you in that world?
This world, so we're a pretty small office up here at the Latah County Fairgrounds in the Event Center. So there's only 1.5 of me in the office here. So using my website and email is actually best for us. We are on all the appropriate social media channels allowed by state law, which does not include TikTok. But we do use all the other ones as we are able to. But email and our website's the best way to get a hold of anyone here.
Perfect. And we'll link those into the show notes. Well, usually our guests are business owners. So people might be scratching their heads saying, why are you on our podcast today? So I will explain really quickly. And that is because you run a kitchen where business owners, like our usual guests, would be working, processing food, things of that nature. So we will get into some talk about the fairgrounds because you also support food makers who have businesses there. But let's first talk about the community kitchen there, how long it's been there, and what kind of things go on there.
Absolutely. So we were lucky enough using some mainly tax supported dollars and some small grants to open our community kitchen space in 2018, late in 18, and then a few more last minute add-ins were added in spring of 19, and then we were really open to the public after that. So it's a 900 square foot space with everything except for the sinks are on wheels, and so it's designed for shared use. So anything that's legal to do inside the kitchen, you're more than welcome to do. And it can be used for private use. It can be used for entrepreneurial food additive or value added processing, or it can be rearranged into classroom style and you can do a cooking class. Our 4-H and FFA groups have used it for educational opportunities. And we've used it also as a resource during some fire evacuation type scenarios where we needed to produce some food for some on-site fire camps as well as some evacuees. So it's definitely a multi-purpose space. Luckily, it's got a door code and a really nice digital door lock system built into it. So it's available 24/7 at the drop of a hat should someone need in there in an emergency. And it has both on-site and off-site storage options here at the fairgrounds. A lot of our regular users are here weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, and they can leave a lot of their product here on site as they're coming in and out to use the space.
That's cool because storage is always a challenge for food entrepreneurs.
Correct. We have both cold and dry storage. So we were able to, as we built the space, one of the nice things we were able to locate was a business upgraded. And so we inherited at a fair value rate, I would guess, their walk-in 12 by 10 walk-in cooler. And so that was fun to disassemble and move and get running again. It is shared use. So we have to be very careful that everything's in there kind of at their own risk because everyone who has access to the space has access into the cooler. So, but luckily we haven't had any bad neighbors or bad actors yet. So knock on wood with that. But we've got that cold resource. Then I just received a grant to bring some more fridges and some more freezers into the space. And then we have a set of lockers that are really nice size lockers for dry goods storage.
That's really great. And how many makers do you have working out of the space usually?
Right now is our heavy season with a lot of farmers market vendors and some summertime catering type and social event caterers. We've probably got about 20 different users that are here on a regular basis, and then probably one-time users, probably 2 or 3 or 4 of those a month right now during our busy season, and then it drops quite a bit off. We don't see a lot of use in the winter, except for right at Christmas. Every weekend is here at the event center is normally a big holiday party of some sort or another. And so those events are starting to take advantage of the kitchen space up there to help facilitate the events elsewhere on the fairgrounds.
That's cool.
So just a little bit of history. The kitchen was something that been talked about for years before I arrived here in 2016. And they'd had several different versions of citizen action committees and work groups and focus groups and lots of discussion and no action. And so when I came on, the fair in the Latah County adjusted the position of director to be full-time and a lot more hands-on. And luckily I was empowered with some bigger budgets. And so I thank the committees for all the work they've done. And we actually went a kind of a different route, hired a professional consultant who had developed some kitchens up in the Spokane Coeur d'Alene area and said, we are getting this done. And luckily the county empowered us to spend the money. It cost about $125,000 to put it in, all told. We had that over 2 different fiscal years, plus some outside grant funding, and we just got it done. And that's the reason we have it, is we were empowered by our county, which in turn is why it's a resource for our local taxpayers.
You know what they say, action takers are money makers.
Agreed.
Janna, have you been to the space before?
No, I have been to Latah's Fairgrounds many times, but I've not actually been into the kitchen space. No, I'll have to come visit you the next time I'm in campus.
Fair's in 58 days. Come on up.
Oh, yes. We have in our area, we've had one fair that's already started. They're the early birds. They're always the early one. But yeah, this is prime fair season for everybody. So pretty much at least every week, somewhere within 100-ish miles radius, you've got a fair.
I love corn dogs.
Is that your favorite?
And elephant ears.
Is that your favorite fair food, Sarah?
Always.
Corn dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And yours is elephant ears, Janna?
I like elephant ear. I like the corn dogs. I agree with Sarah Masoni. Corn dogs are good, but I also like the elephant ears and mini donuts,
cinnamon and
and
sugar.
what is it? The like Oreo covered ice cream fried creature. I forget what it's called. That's pretty much a normal hit when we go to the fair.
What about you, Jim? What's your favorite fair food?
So I take advantage of my name tag that day, the one that says director, and I get a fresh deep fried Twinkie, and then I walk it over and they soak it in espresso for me.
What?
It is fantastic. They cut me off after 3 a day. They said no more. But I will take advantage of that every morning at fair, and it's the best breakfast ever.
That
Wow.
sounds wild.
That sounds super wild.
It's amazing.
Should we commercialize it?
I told them to. I said, put a sign, because they're conjoining booths. So I'm like, you need a sign. I'll allow it.
I saw something on social media. This woman was like, well, if you're not able to go to Europe for your affogato, just stop at your local gas station and get a cup of coffee and an ice cream sandwich. And then she was like unwrapping her ice cream sandwich. She was going to stick it in the coffee.
Probably
Okay.
not the same, but okay.
It was really funny. Oh, planning for the fair is a big deal. So when I grew up, I was right near the Minnesota State Fair, and that's like a small city.
Mhm.
And when
Sure.
Janna, when you were talking about the mini donuts, I used to get the mini donuts and then go on like the log ride or something they had there and eat my donuts. So I have fun memories of the mini donuts too.
Yeah.
So what are some of the products that people are producing in your kitchen, Jim, if you can tell us?
Oh, absolutely. So, like I said, we're mostly focused with a bunch of farmers market vendors right now. And so I have a gentleman that does crepes and cinnamon rolls. So he comes in on late on Fridays. Our market's, of course, on Saturday morning, first thing, and bakes 5 or 6 dozen cinnamon rolls. So that's real rough to walk by when he's baking all those.
Mm.
And then prepares his batter for his crepes. And then we have a man-wife team that are Brazilian. And so they do Snack Brazil. And I still cannot pronounce them, but it's 5 Brazilian local foods that are designed to be carried. So they're the perfect fair food because they're all deep fat fried and then designed to be carried and eaten with your fingers.
Mm.
And so they're here every week. We have a Filipino vendor that does lumpia. And those are kind of like real thin spring rolls, if you will. And then we have another baker that mainly does like banana bread, zucchini breads, whatever is in season that can be converted into breads earlier in the week. And then they freeze everything and then sell. They actually sell it either still frozen or chilled because it's designed to facilitate longer shelf life. They figured out because if you buy it at market and it's already completely thawed and warm, by the time it sits in your car at 120 some degrees, it can spoil within a day or two. So they actually sell their breads out of a cooler, slightly chilled still. And so that works well for the setup we have here.
I mean, bakeries are booming right now, locally and regionally. About 15 years ago, I worked with a gal named Katie from Waldport, and she had an almond torte she was working on. And a couple of years after that, we were in Waldport, and I tried to find Katie, and none of the locals would tell me where she was baking. And then this past weekend, because I think she was keeping it fairly private because her stuff was really in high demand, she was baking out of her home kitchen, who knows. Anyway, I went there with my husband and we drove by their retail location on Saturday morning. They're open Thursday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. There were like 100 people in line to buy her stuff. So we're like, oh, maybe not. We'll come back later. We went back at 2 and there was still a line of about 10 people deep to get in there. So those small bakeries that we help start can really help community by creating delicious foods for people to just stop in and get. And it doesn't even have to be an everyday thing, just 3 days a week.
Correct. One of our recent success stories is a food truck, and I apologize to the editors, but they are called Bad Bee with some exclamations and some other caricatures after it. But Bad Bee Food Truck, they were here for about a year. 3 or 4 days a week, and they helped serve the bar crowd. So obviously we're in a college town, so the bar crowd's pretty big. And they focused on breakfast style foods for the late night bar crowd. Nice. And they finally graduated and are now a brick and mortar on Main Street. And they still have their food truck, but I lost them as a customer, but that's fine. Because it freed up some space for some other users to come in because they were a heavy duty user of the space. So it was actually a great relationship, but they literally started, it was 3 young men and an idea of a food truck, and now they're a brick and mortar on Main Street, plus still have their food truck in operation. And so that was the whole focus of this community kitchen space, was to, because we only charge $20 an hour, and I do charge for dry goods storage if you're in one of the lockers, but on that, it's $20 an hour when you're in the space. And so everyone always is like, well, you can't make money doing that. And I said, you're right. We are not designed to make money, which is very strange. Most entities at least have to break even. But since this community kitchen space is part of the greater Fairgrounds, which includes an RV park, an event center, fair itself, and some other streams of income vendors and whatnot, I'm fine, and the county's fine, and they're very supportive of this resource losing money, which again is a weird thing to say, but it's designed to help our community grow. And so Bad Bee and some other food trucks have been able to do that using our space. And likewise with the bakery example you just gave, we've had some bakers that have gone on to bigger and better things because they got their start here in the kitchen and managed to make this just amazing product, and away they go.
Yeah, that's definitely the lowest price I've ever heard of a commercial kitchen. $20 an hour is not.
I brag on that a lot.
Yeah.
So can we send people over from Portland?
I know, we should.
If they want to make the drive, I don't do it in the winter, but right now it's a beautiful drive.
I think actually the Mission Mountain in Montana might be right around $20 an hour, maybe even 15. Don't quote me, but
we were 15 till our new fiscal year started last October 1. We went up to 20.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I think it's great to have a resource like that for new businesses because, of course you don't have money yet. You have to start somewhere. So it's like a really good way to do it. So I think that I'm sure a lot of people really appreciate you guys having that service there in Idaho. Yeah, that's really great.
So do you have an application process? Do you require any kind of special certifications? Do you require any training? How do you vet who's going to use the kitchen and who's not?
Well, yes and no. So because we're a county agency, everything is documented in a contract. I have a very easy form online, who you are, what's in this. I mean, for all my spaces, and the kitchen's just one of my spaces, or the spaces out here. So it's who you are, what you want, when you need in, when you want out, etc. I put that into a contract, attach an invoice, you sign it, and then there's some penalties if you cancel, because once it goes on our calendars, other people know that not to ask for this space, so we do that. And then for our one-off users, you have to pay before you're allowed inside the space, before your door code will activate. And then for our recurring users, we bill them monthly because we have a relationship with them. And sometimes they'll add on at the last minute, add on some time. And so it's just easier for us to bill at the end of the month for those recurring users. So everyone has to go through the same contract process, and that's satisfies all of the legalese per se. And then I have a great relationship with our local health department, but I don't meddle in their rules at all. I don't even know them by choice. I don't even know any of those rules because I let the health department have those conversations with the user. Because if it's totally private use, then the rules don't apply because it's private use. But if you're serving the public in any way, shape, or form, I let the health department educate the user on how to maintain my kitchen, for what it needs, how to keep it clean and all the right things to do to keep my certifications intact because they're the end user and I don't try to play middleman in the middle of that. So luckily, I just pretty much stay out of it. We have binders inside the space for all the MDS sheets or point 0.1 sheets for chemical use. And then there's also a big binder that says how to use each, all the pieces of equipment. Luckily, with the exception of the big stand mixer, it's real basic. We've got a steam jacketed kettle, that's an on-off switch and a temperature control. The 4 ovens are obviously just temperature control. A range top is a range top. And so that's all pretty much pretty, everyone can pretty much use that. The stand mixer gives a few fits every now and again, but we have a binder that explains how to use it. And then we just have requirements, and we're very clear on our requirements. When you're done, you have to make sure you've paid for enough time to fully clean everything you've touched, mop and sweep, and you have to mop the entire space, not just if you're only in one half. You have to mop the entire floor and then return those supplies. And then we always buffer an hour between events, mainly to let the floor dry, quote unquote, but also if someone runs a little late, they're not impacting somebody else's prep time.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the design. And for the most part, it works out well for us.
Yeah, that's important, having that buffer. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about some of the community space and support that's created by having all those food businesses at the fair. So we'll be right back.
Oregon State University's College of Agricultural Sciences and the Food Innovation Center are proud sponsors of Meaningful Marketplace. With a mission to serve all Oregonians, we are committed to giving voice to those whose food and agricultural stories are not always heard. By providing access and opportunity for a more diverse and just food system, because food brings people together.
So tell us more about the food businesses that you're hosting. You did tell us a little bit already, but let's talk a little bit more about that.
So above and beyond the farmers market vendors, the other big ones were Bad Bee. They like when I said huge user, they were here almost every day except at the end they were here almost 4 or 5 days a week. Which did kind of become problematic because we didn't design the space to really be monopolized by just one user. And I was having other users saying, I want to use the space, but I can't. And so, but that's right as they were getting ready to graduate to their own space. So that worked well. We also have a couple recurring caterers that are super involved in our local community. One, Smokering Barbecue, who actually is in the process, unfortunately, of relocating to Spokane, but she has so many contracts down here. She's still honoring all those contracts, which is great, but she's been super involved with a lot of our community festivals and all the big fundraisers around town and Pride and all those things. She's been a heavy duty user of the space just because it gives all the flexibility she needs to be able to come in. There's 6 big stainless steel tables that are on wheels. And so she can lay everything out, get her crew working on all the various tasks, and literally they can move the tables when it's your turn to take over what we call the hot wall, where the ovens and the stovetop is. You can wheel your table over, cook your stuff, get it back on your table, and get out of the way for the next thing that needs to be done over on the hot wall or dishes or whatever needs to be done. Smokering's been a really big user of us, and then a couple other smaller catering companies, and a charcuterie board company is our most recent acquisition. She pre-makes anywhere from small 8-inch style plates designed to serve 2 to 3 people, all the way up to she had I think it was a 9-foot board she was putting together last week for a wedding party. And so that she's been using. And again, she just needs space to spread out inside a commercial setting. And so all of those people have been able to take advantage of the space for relatively low cost for what they're ending up having to, because they obviously have to pass the charge on to the end user, but it's not making a huge impact in those invoices for the end user, which is, again, how we designed it.
And when people are applying to be vendors at the state fair, sometimes those can be very big events, right? So are there tips and tricks for what they can be ready for and how they can get into the fair and what's a good application, those kinds of things?
So the fair industry, to switch into that role a little bit, that's quite a bit different animal. It's actually interesting. We really don't use our kitchen itself too much during the fair because it's not set up to be a point of sale space. But for the fair industry, you have to be flexible and you have to be able to get your product out in a hurry. The number one problem identified by fairgoers is they do not like to wait in line. So overly complicated menus, or if you don't have enough staff to do your whole menu, and so it's taking a long time to get what if you have a really big menu and few staff, it takes a long time to get all the different things made. You will not do well and you will not survive in the industry. So like when I'm talking to my food vendors, and we only contract a year at a time. Some fairs are able to do multi-year contracts, but we don't. We do contract a full year out though, however. I've told all my vendors, if you are running into staffing concerns, which is common lately, you need to reduce the size of your menu because the worst thing you can have is people waiting in line. And we're a small enough fair. We see about 20 to 25,000 people over our 4 days, and we are free admission, which is something else I really like to brag about. They sell over $200,000 worth of food in those 4 days. And the way you do that is by quickly turning it from the point of sale, from the cash register into the customer's hands. And so the faster they can do that, the better. We also, and it's pretty common in the industry, unless you're a great big fair with a huge footprint, we don't allow vendors to directly compete with one another. So I only have one hamburger vendor. I only have one Chinese food vendor. I only have one elephant ear vendor, and all the different, subcategories of food. You mentioned corn dogs. Anyone can sell a corn dog because we don't consider them a primary food. But your primary entrees, only one per fair, because that way it keeps the competition down a little bit. No, we actually don't allow any horses on our property. I'm probably the only fairgrounds that will say that, because we are unfenced and right smack in the middle of town, and we're only on 12 acres. So I just do not have the room for trucks, trailers, or horses.
How many food vendors do you have every year, Jim, for the fair?
Well, we've traditionally had 13 plus the beer garden.
Okay.
I upped that by 2, and this last week the 2 new ones just canceled.
Oh no.
So we're back to our original number. I'm going to look at my wait list and see if I can pull someone else in, because we did expand our number of vendors. We did some infrastructure updates because all vendors need power and water. And so we did some updates there, and we're going to see if we can refill those spots. But because we're under 60 days out, it's not necessarily a priority for me right now. They were luckily smaller snack type vendors, so I'm not missing my hamburger guy. I'm not missing, the taco truck or anything like that. But they were snacks, so we might try to refill those, or we'll just put tables and chairs there and increase our seating capacity a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard from food friends who will do a big fair, and that will kind of, because it's so busy and it's such a big income that it will support, their business for the rest of the year. So they'll do that big fair, and then it helps support their other business. So
I mean, and it's exhausting because we're open from 11 until, and food vendors, so 11 a.m. each day until food normally stops selling around 9:30, but I've seen them go to 10:30. Well, that doesn't leave you a lot of time to clean, then to prep, try to sleep before you have to be up and cooking again to prep to open at 11 o'clock again. So you don't sleep much during fair. And I've seen we've brought in some newer food trucks that are used to the festival atmosphere, which is just one evening or maybe a longer, we open or a beer, like a big beer event. Well, yeah, gates open at 4 and it goes till 10. No big deal. They've run out of food on the first day and have been in an absolute panic. Luckily, we do have some chef stores in the area. We've got some about 45 minutes away either direction. So I'm like, get on the phone, because they're just not prepared for the volume of what this fair can bring. And especially if they're the new guy at the fair, they're popular. Yeah. And they're popular to the point where they run out of food. So it can be very educational when we have a what we call a new person or a new vendor at the fair. And we do what we can to, I make sure they are aware of all the numbers and, all those things. But, if you're really popular and you're on out, you're headed to, hour and a half drive to get more supplies and get back here.
Makes sense. What is your favorite thing about, when you have new entrepreneurs come into the kitchen? What's your favorite thing about the entrepreneur spirit?
I like watching their creativity, because every new group that we've been able to host, either, food truck or cater, the reason they're getting into the business is because they are going to offer something that's currently not available. And that's what's giving them hopefully that vision to be able to compete long term in the industry, whatever, industry they're going into. But it's because they have found, or they hope they have found, a product or a way of delivering a product that is unique. And it is really fun to watch that creativity and hopefully encourage that creativity to bloom, to flower, and then hopefully go forth and conquer.
And in case we have people that have been listening and are interested in either applying to the fair as a vendor or working out of your kitchen, let's tell them how to do that.
So the easiest way is just latahcountyfair.com, and that Latah is Latah. So latahcountyfair.com. All of our, both for vendor applications, those space use applications are real simple online forms. That'll email a copy to the requester, copy comes to me or my staff, and then we'll layer you onto the calendars just as fast as we can for the users. And for the fair time vendors, we'll start looking at your space needs, how big you are, and menus. Menus are very important because we don't allow a lot of direct competition. And so the sooner we get that data, the sooner we can turn around and either say yes or no, depending on what the options are.
Perfect. Any other questions, ladies, before we wrap?
So going back to hosting people in the kitchen there, have you ever considered developing a relationship with maybe an independent grocer and then having a day where those buyers from the grocery store get to come in and meet one-on-one with your vendors or your manufacturer vendors that work in your kitchen?
Unfortunately, no, because we already have that in town here. So we have a very strong Moscow Co-op, which is a local grocery store, and it's the only non-chain grocery store in town. And they already do events like that inside their store. So we've not.
Oh, that's good to
Yeah,
hear.
we would just be duplicating. The co-op, I am their backup site, and we've hosted quite a few of their educational opportunities. They do mainly the wine classes, which is great for me because then I get to go. But they do a lot of educational outreach classes, and when they have a very small meeting room classroom. I think it might also be part of their break room for their staff, but if that's too small for some of their educational activities, they will bring them out here to the fairgrounds, and we've done them. So they're aware of the kitchen use. But for that type of meet and greet with, potential producers to put stuff on their shelves, they actually have the facility built into their store to do that. So they're aware of it. We just haven't had to use it yet.
My question was around like supporting those food entrepreneurs that aside from the space that you have, do you have any other services that you offer for like business development or anything like that? Or who do you reach out to when you have an entrepreneur that seems to be doing well and they want to expand and they want to, go to the next level? What kind of advice do you give them?
So luckily, because my background before coming here to the fairgrounds was with the University of Idaho and in the extension service program, I turned them over to the extension service program at that point. So if they're doing well and if they have questions I just can't answer business wise here, I turn over to the Latah County Extension staff or to faculty resources we're blessed to have the main campus of University of Idaho here in town. And so we don't do much business development opportunities here because, again, I'm a county agency, so it's not quite within my mandate to do that. But we do have the resources to connect them with extension, and that is within their mandate to help those businesses grow. But we're a small enough town that, if I can answer the question that, a business has, I can find out who can. And then I'm also very free with, we don't charge extra for advice. So, and sometimes, especially in the event world, sometimes I'll see an event going, something not, I try not to step on other people's events when I'm hosting them, but when you've set up a single-sided buffet line for 450 people and it dead ends into a wall, it's like, no, you can't do that. It's just not going to work. And so, when we're bringing on and onboarding a new user, I do mention that if you have any questions or we need any other resources, let me know because we are very well connected as a county agency.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks, Jim.
You're welcome.
Well, Jim, this is my least favorite part, but we're out of time. But it's been really great to talk to you today. And we love hearing about what you're doing there. And I think that it's so wonderful that you have this community kitchen to support these new entrepreneurs. So keep doing what you're doing. And if we have people that are looking for kitchen space in Idaho, we will definitely send them your way.
Please do. Our pleasure to be here to help.
And thanks to our listeners for tuning in. If you would like to review our podcast, you can do that on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Meaningful Marketplace podcast. And you can call or text Sarah and I with questions at 503-395-8858. We couldn't do this without our fantastic team at Joy of Creation Production House. Thanks to Dave, our production coordinator, and Haley, our audio engineer. And we'll be back next week, everybody. Bye.
Bye for now.